Yes, can you see the screen?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So
Yes.
just raise your hand to let me know how many of you know about conditional formatting. How many of you used conditional formatting before? Please raise your hand to indicate how many of you used conditional formatting before. Okay, so Jyotsna ma'am has used it. Jyotsna ma'am, would you like to share how have you used it? What purpose did you serve using conditional formatting?
Yes, sir. While preparing the result, I normally use for less than 35 red mark or less than 18 red mark conditional formatting. In between, less than, more than.
Great, great, wonderful. So I will anyway start with that, but I will also show you there are any even little advanced things also in conditional formatting. So we'll obviously start with the basics of it. So conditional formatting is a very powerful feature. When I first learned it, I wondered why didn't I know it earlier? Because it's such a useful feature. Particularly in academic setting, yes, because you want to kind of highlight some things which are less than or more than a particular value. And that tab is right here in the home. Sorry, that menu is right here in the home tab called conditional formatting. And if you just click on it, you will see that there are highlight cell rules, top bottom rules, data bars, color scheme, icon sets, and so on. So there are 5 things that will be there. And we'll be using this worksheet, a specially created worksheet data, to just see what can we do with it. So let me just zoom in a little bit so that you can see it. Okay, you can focus on one table at a time. So here, as ma'am said, you want to have, let us say we have a sub data. Here it is from 1 to 20, and we want to highlight the values which are more than 10. So obviously we can do it manually because it's a pretty small amount of data. But if you want to do it on the large scale data, then you need some trick, and that is the trick is just select this data. This is a in kind of a rectangular fashion, but it could be a single row or a single column. Most of the time it's a single column that you select, or a couple of columns, and then you go to conditional formatting. So first select conditional formatting and then you say greater than 10 in this case, and it's done, as simple as it is. Now this is pretty dynamic. See, for example, this 13, I make it 3, it kind of loses that background color. If it is 5, I make it 15, it gets highlighted. So this is pretty dynamic. I mean, as you change the values, this will keep on changing. So this is also useful when you have a formulas in those cells. You can actually, as depending on the formula, you can kind of show it differently. So in many places, in say for example, you're reporting a progress percentage completion something, and you want to say more than 80% completion. You want to highlight, or something which is more than 90% to highlight. This is comes pretty handy because you don't need to. So whenever the formula gets calculated, depending on the value, it will get highlighted on. Then there is a second one which is called above average, and here I can again go to conditional formatting, highlight cell rules for doing the average. But then we don't see, we want something which is above average. We don't see it here. So we go to the next one. And then there is something called above average and below average. Now it doesn't take any value because it will calculate average itself of all the values, all numeric values essentially. And by the way, we looked at it here. It says red fill with dark gray text. You may want to change it to yellow fill, or if you want to have a custom format, you can do that. We'll be doing that later. But let us do it yellow and say okay. So here we got, so it has calculated average, doesn't tell you what is the average, but by the time I think by now you should know that when you select this range here in top right, sorry, bottom right, you will say average is 11.3. So now you can verify that anything which is more than 11.3 is highlighted. So 12, 16, 4, and all that. Now this is, I says, dynamic. So for example, if this 10, I make it 100. Now suddenly it changed now, because if you just select again, look at the average, it is 13.1. Because of that, you will see 12 is no longer highlighted, 16 is highlighted, and so on. And I can even go ahead and make it 1000. And then see only this gets highlighted simply because with one value is 1000, your average has increased to 31.1, and that is definitely uh, only this value is above that, so it kind of selects it. So I'm just going undo now, and just showing this. This is something which again it does some calculation itself, and then highlights accordingly. So you did not create a own average. Uh, this itself does it. Then if you want to have unique values or sometimes duplicate values, either way you could select this, go to condition formatting, and here there is something called duplicate values. So typically you want to highlight duplicate values. Okay, in this case we'll highlight unique values. So either option is available, and these are the unique values 1970. Others are repeated. So if I make this 13 repeat here, then that will disappear, it will not get highlighted here. So you can kind of make changes. Let me do undo, and you get these unique values. Then there are data bars, and let's see what is data bars. So again, let me select this entire data set, click here, and here is the data bars. And here you get some kind of gradient fill or the solid fill. What does really do is, let me just select and explain it to you. In this particular data set, it kind of says that okay, the maximum value is around 20, so it kind of does a full filling, and the minimum value is 1, so it does a little partial filling, and then every other cell gets a filling which is uh, proportionate to what the value is. So this is again very useful for project progress. For example, if you're having a value ranging between 0 to 100, 100 will be fully filled, and the 0 will be obviously nothing will be filled there, but everything else will be proportionately filled. So you will see it, uh, 16 is filled more than 10, and 10 is filled more than 5, and so on. Now there are different colors possible also. So let me just undo, and you could see in data bars you have obviously gradient fill, which looks a little better because they are gradients. They are more readable. I mean, the text becomes more readable, and you can always have some different colors out there, right? And obviously can change the colors also later. We'll see that also later. So all this is kind of out of box that you can get. Yeah. So let me just pick up something here, maybe green here, and this is what you get. Similarly, you have more like icon set. So let us select this, and you could maybe the ratings. We could do this, and then it kind of put things in, the stars are kind of filled in depending on the value in it. So 4 is not so much filled in. This is not very precise. Please note that it is not very precise. So you need to um, just give a visual indication. You don't want to give very precise things. So for example, you don't see much difference between 4 and 6. 9 is more filled and so on. But it's not very precise. But it serves the purpose. There are obviously many more. With this, you can choose the ones that you want. Like you have here. Um, I guess this one is interesting. Uh, so you could see that so 4 it is nothing is there, and then 6 there are more. So you can choose the ones which icons that you want, and it will occupy some space. So you have to be a little careful, because if your size is low, you'll not see the numbers. So you want to be very careful that you do it properly. At least the sizing part of it. But otherwise, this is pretty handy. Again, so you can choose whether you want to use data bars, icon set. That's something that you could. Now, this is all about numbers. Even for text, you have something. So here I want to find the words that contain X. So I can select this, conditional formatting, and then let us go here. No, it's not here. Uh, Text that contains, and here you are. You just say X, and you get it here. Max, fax, X-ray, oxen, fox, hex, so on. Right? So you could actually select a particular later, and it will accordingly pick up, highlight those words. So if you want to select a particular word or a later, then you could use, or any text for that matter, then you can use this kind of a thing. What I want you to do is to explore it little bit yourself here. Take next 5 minutes to do it yourself. All these things is there in your Excel. So do all of this together, and if you have any difficulty, if you want me to repeat something, if any queries, please ask. But I want you to spend 5 minutes on it, absolute 5 minutes on it. Once you do it, you remember it. So please do it once. And please ask me questions if there are any. Once you are done, you can mention done in the chat box. And if any difficulty or any questions, please feel free to ask by unmuting yourself.
Sir,
Yes, Josman.
sir, can you show me the unique values? Rest I have done, but I am not finding the unique value. How to do?
Yes. So in conditional formatting, you have highlight cell rules. There's a duplicate values, and there is a drop down which is either duplicate or unique.
Thank you, sir.
So far, Vinod sir has indicated that he has finished it.
How do they make these bars
Uh,
in in the icon set?
so here in conditional formatting, there are data bars
Okay.
and there are icon sets. So
Okay,
you could,
icons. Okay.
yeah.
Got it. Got it. Got it. Thank you. Thank you.
Yes. So Nidhi ma'am and Josna also is finished. So let us wait for a couple of minutes for everyone to finish, and then we'll go to the next one, which is Heatmap. Okay, I also got done from Ronald sir. So, so conditional formatting is very easy to use, and uh, it can be used with very minimal. I mean, whatever those menu items are. And as Josna ma'am said, it would be used to highlight certain value. That's a typical use that we would see. But yes, there are some additional uses that we could have. That is what we will learn now going forward. So let me quickly come to the next worksheet, which is heat map. Now, is there anybody who's aware what is heat map? Uh, you can raise your hand if you've heard about this term heat map earlier. So heat map is a kind of a graph, a chart, one of the chart essentially, which will show variation of a red color. So heat is like a red. So if you have, for example, looking at losses, and you have multiple regions that just look at in the map, you have different things, and you want to kind of show where are there are challenges, where are there are issues. So that you want to have a red hot, it's like a really heat there, and other places you may have a less dark red. So that's how it really started. Now we really obviously in latest version of I think Excel, that map chart is there, but otherwise in the older version there's no map graph chart. But for a simple set of data, you could always do kind of a heat map using conditional formatting, and that is nothing but using the thing which we tend to use, which is called color scale. So what is color scale? So I just select this data, and then I have this thing called color scale, and I have things it says green, yellow, red color scale. So I just click on this, and you can see here that the highest number is put in green, the lowest number is put in red, and then there are shades of yellow and red and green to indicate how it is there. So if you really want to see that the east clothing is really doing good, and then west groceries is really doing bad, and the other ones, household items and office supplies in east zone, are not doing as good, but maybe the groceries in east is kind of doing good, household items in south are doing good, and so you get a color scheme. Green is generally that's the norm that we use. Green is profitable, more desirable. Red is something which is a problem or a challenge or a danger, an issue, and yellow is kind of in between. So same thing like red, amber generally we use instead of yellow is amber, and green is so we used to have it has to work in L&T Infotech. We used to have RAG status, which essentially means red, amber, green. So if the projects are in green, then there are you don't have to worry about them. If they are red, then it's bigger issue, and amber is something that you have a little more cautious about it. So that's what you will do. So this is basically nothing but a color scheme, or what you say is color scales, and you could have different options. Like you could do green, yellow, red, or red, yellow, green. So I would do that. Let us say I undo this. I'll just press Control Z, and I go and say red, yellow, green. So this has become the highest value has become red. So if you want to show these values as a defects or some complaints, customer complaints particularly, let us say, then higher is worse, right? I mean, you want to kind of focus on it, try to see what are the issues here. So here you could see that, right? So you could use the scale the way you want, and then there are again different scales which are kind of built in over there. Okay, so here you have white red color scale, which is what we could use for showing red things. uh, Red white, so here it is, the highest is red and the lowers are white kind of a scale. So here it's could be more of a heat map kind of situation where you want to really focus on something which is, let us say, customer complaint. So this zone is highlighted, and others are also kind of, there's a scale, it's a color scale, it's not a binary, it's not red and white, but it's kind of a scale in which you can get it. So this is pretty handy. So again, I wanted to explore a little bit, and then I will show you what we could do more with this. So just try to explore this, take a minute or two to just do it. uh, Saima ma'am, okay, did you get it by now?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay. Just do it once. It's a color scale which we are looking at, but we are putting it more like a heat map rather than using just simply as a color scale. Okay, so this message is done. Yeah, I guess it is done. Great. So we have seen so far, we have used whatever is available to us. But I'm sure you will also like to use your own colors if you really want to. So in that case, you just go to color scale, look at more rules, and you get this new formatting rule box. Okay. You can get this box also by clicking on conditional formatting and saying new rule. You get this kind of a box. Okay. And here it says format all cells based on their color values. I mean, all in that this particular whatever you have selected basically. And here two color scale. Okay, so we can have a three color scale, or we can pick up data bar and all that, whatever you want. Let us start with uh, two color scale, and minimum lowest value, if that is the case, or minimum number that you want to put it, you can do that. Color you can change. So let us say I put bright red, dark red, and here I put yellow. Oh, yeah. Okay, I'll put yellow, and then I say okay. Or here I can actually put uh, It's becoming too hot red, but yeah. Oh my goodness, this is really, really red. But you can see it, it's kind of arranging. So you could do that. Obviously, if you want to have very, very different coloring scheme for yourself, you could clear this. These are rules basically which you can apply. So you can clear rules from selected cell or from the entire worksheet. So let me clear from those selected cells. Um, okay, I just selected. So let me just clear cells from entire sheet. These rules are gone. Okay, I can apply a different rule at this point of time. So maybe I'll do a little better rule. I go to color scale, go to more rules, pick up three column color scale. Here I will put maybe yellow. Sorry, I'll put red. Simple red. Here I'll put yellow. Here I'll put green, and then I just say okay, and I get. So generally we are comfortable with the default values simply because they mean the same, right? So you're saying red means there's a, let us say, it's a revenue or a profit. Then red is something which is area of focus. Green is something that we are happy with, and yellow is caution, right? So that is how we will use the colors. We should not be changing those meaning of those colors. We should stick to that kind of coloring scheme. So this is what we're talking about, the heat map or color scale basically. Yeah. I'm sure this is pretty easy. I'm sure you could get it and you can always explore it further. I want you to um, take it to the next worksheet and show you something. And I want you to give your attention to this particular thing, what I'm doing here. So here the today's temperature mentioned as a 41 degrees Celsius, and there's a background to it, which is good. Obviously, it may go high, and maybe we get something like a 40 or maybe 50, and it's becoming a little red. And if I make it 10, then it's a blue. So blue indicates cool, cold kind of thing. So as I increased from 10 to 15, and this could be a formula which will or a value which is coming from some other source. And as the value changes, the background color keeps on changing. So I say make it 20, it changes. If it makes 25, it changes, and so on. So I guess as and when we are increasing, it's kind of changing the background color. That's how it is working. Yeah. It's a very cool thing, right? I mean, you want basically what we are doing here is that we are changing the background color of a cell based on the value of that uh, value in that cell, right? And that value could be based out of a formula. And as and when the value changes, the background color will change. So if it could be a status of something, project status something, and if it's low, then you kind of put it red, or if it is high, you put it in green, and so on. So you don't do it manually; it kind of changes automatically. Okay, this is what is happening here. Now the task for you is that to find out how it is happening. What is the magic? What is the trick that I use to do this? This is not out of box. This is something where I use something. So I'm giving you 5 minutes to find it out. I mean, obviously in Excel sheet the same thing should be there. So just find out. You can try it out yourself whether it works in Excel the same way it is shown here, and then try out. How is it possible? How is it made possible? What is the trick here? So maybe next few minutes, I guess you should be able to figure it out. So whoever comes figures out first, please put in the chat box, and then I'll ask the person to unmute and explain, or even unshare this, share the screen. So for that, so take next few minutes to find out the trick. What has been done there? Please raise your hand if you got the trick how it has been done. Jyotsna ma'am, will like to share the screen and explain it. Please share the screen and kind of
Sir,
explain how.
exactly. I also don't know. I have just checked with the color scale. So color is changing. That is why I put the, is it color scale or what?
Yeah, it's color scale. That's correct.
Ah,
But then I want you to kind of explore and see how it was done. What is the trick used?
okay, okay.
I see some more. Yeah.
Sir, is it okay?
No, this is not the way it is. It's not that simple. It is not used.
That is why I'm asking to you. Is it color
Yeah,
scale?
it is color scale, but it's a typical trick which is used to make it change. It's not simply a
Okay,
color
sir.
scale. Yeah.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
Yep, thank you. Okay. Okay. So, is there anyone who got it?
Sir, I can try Vinod.
Yes, please. Please share your screen and try.
Yeah, just give me a second. I'll share my screen. So what I did here is went to conditional formatting, color scales, more rules,
Hmm.
and use this three color scale
Hmm.
and change this to number.
Hmm.
Lowest value to number, gave it a color,
Hmm.
blue, and put the number as one, say for example.
Okay.
The, so all this I changed to number, midpoint and maximum also I changed to number.
Hmm.
And I say for example, midpoint I gave as 25
Hmm.
and gave it orange color. And similarly, the higher number I gave it as 60 and changed it to red color. So now if we put temperature closer to 30, it changes to orange. And if you put temperature 50, it changes to red.
Yes. Perfect. Perfect. Great.
Thank you. I'll stop sharing.
Yes. So what Vinod sir showed us about something which is uh, one way of doing it. Actually, a little more advanced than what is done here. But that's definitely a better way of doing things. But I'll also show you what is done in this Excel sheet, which is less sophisticated, but still, I mean, actually more to illustrate the use of the conditional formatting. But I'll show that also just to give you an indication. So if you see this Excel sheet carefully, is A, B, C, D, E is missing, F, G, H is there, right? And E is missing, E column is missing. And here you can, I hope you can see this, there is a kind of a double rows here, double lines are there, which indicates something is hidden. So I can double click on this and you'll see that there are actually E column, which is, let me undo, and I can also show you another way to unhide, is to select the columns, right click and say unhide, and you can see that there is actually a column called 12, 13, 14, to up to 50, because that column is there. Now, there's another thing that I will show you in conditional formatting. There's something called as manage rules. Okay, I click on that, and obviously I didn't show you this earlier, but here we show formatting rules for, let us say, this worksheet, and there is one already applied, and I can see this. It says applies to E1 to E40, that is this column E1 to E40, and D1. It is applied to this range of cells. There not be a single column. It's single column and some other cell. And then if I edit this rule, it actually has the same thing: lowest value, highest value, and so on. So basically, what is happening here is that since we have picked up this cell and other cell, and then applied a color scale on top of it, if it becomes 11, or let's even say 10 for that matter, it is the blue. So you give a range accordingly. So what Vinod sir showed is that you can hard code, you can put a number over there. Here what we have done, we have put a range here, and then accordingly we have put the value. So this value and this column is what we are capturing for the color scale, and that's why we're getting this color scale over here. So this is another way of doing it. So what Vinod sir showed is one way of doing it, perhaps a little better way of doing it. This is not so as good as that method, but it also makes the same effect. It gives a similar effect as what we need. Is this clear to you? Do you want me to repeat what I said? Jyotsna ma'am, is it clear?
Yes, sir. Yes. Thank you, sir.
So what we are trying to do here is that color scale and all this format is pretty easy to use essentially. Uh, but then we want to kind of use it a little more differently and try to show something which, because if you can do this, I mean, or actually what sir showed, if you can change the background cell depending on the value, it's really impressive. I mean, somebody who doesn't understand conditional formatting will find it like a magic, doesn't know what is going on out there, right? So yeah, when you do course like advanced Excel course, you should learn some tricks which will help you to impress others in a sense that this is the way this could be done brilliantly, that kind of a thing. So that's why I thought I'll share this with you. But as I said, I think sir's trick is much better than this trick, and you can give a precise range of values over there. So I really recommend that method over this method. I will leave this search worksheet as a homework for you. So I just say it's a homework. Basically, what it is doing is that it's searching for something. So if I put my name, Shekhan, it's actually not highlighting, it's highlighting other way. I mean, it's only picking up, highlighting in white maybe. And if I put name, they're highlighting or reverse highlighting in a way. Some names, name of mother, name, what is your name, so it's kind of highlighting. So just again find out why it is happening like this. And it is not doing the correct work, it is actually unhighlighting. I mean, it is highlighting other things with yellow. Can you make it correct way in a sense? If I say name, then name, those cells should become yellow and the other cells should become white. Can we do it that way? So you can try this out. So it's a search. Uh, Hint is something to do with a highlight text that contains. That is what it is all about. But you can just try this out. Okay. Explore this as a homework. If you get difficulty, we will discuss the homework. Like what we're doing today also. Near the end, we'll discuss the homework of the earlier session. Any difficulty that you had, you can actually ask the ones who have done it to share what they have done. And that way we'll kind of revise what we have done. So we'll do it near the end of the today's session. Similarly, next session also we'll do the same way. Right. This is a homework for you to work out on this kind of a worksheet. Yeah. Now we'll come to the last worksheet, and this is where we usually use conditional formatting. And that is something called a new rule, and there's something called a use a formula to determine which cell to format. So this is next 10 minutes or so. We'll be spending this next 10-15 minutes to work on this particular thing. Like use a formula to determine which cells to format. Now, why do we need this? Now, so far, what we have seen is that we can apply some kind of a rule, like highlighting rules, or below, above average, more than some value, all those kind of things. We could highlight those things. However, uh, we apply those rules only on the same range of cells. Like for example, if I want to see, show me all the list price, which is more than say 4 lakh. This is what we want to do. I'll do a condition formatting greater than, and I'll put 4 lakh. uh, and the list price got highlighted because it is a text value, but there you can see these values are highlighted. This is a little bigger data, so I think you'll see the value of it now. So you have 12 lakhs and 4 lakhs and 7 lakhs, so you can see highlighting is kind of working here. But what if I want to highlight agent column, who has a particular property which is list prices more than 4 lakh. I want to highlight the agent. So I don't want to highlight this. I want to highlight this based on the value of this. Okay. This is where you will need to use a formula. You can't use the built-in facility for this kind of requirement. The requirement is I want to highlight a particular range of cells based on the values of other range or other column or other range. Basically, that is what my requirement is, and that is where we will need to use a formula. So let me do undo, and now let me show you how to do this. So I will put a conditional formatting, say new rule. By the way, whatever I want to highlight, I have to select first. So let me first select that, and let me select it from. Okay, let me select the entire column. That's fine. Or let me do that. Let me select the actual value. So I just pressing Shift Control down arrow to select the entire uh, column without the header. So Shift Control down arrow. That is the one which I use. And then I say conditional formatting, new rule. So I'm applying rule to this. Use a formula, and there I say is equal to, okay, and here I want to say list price, so that is a D column. So I can't use D column. D column is greater than 4 lakh. I have to use the topmost or the leftmost value of the range. So it is D2. I'll say D2 is greater than 4 lakh. I have to put equal to just to fix the formula, and I just say 4 lakh. 1, 1, 2, 3, 4 lakh. And I need to give a formula. So I can, sorry, formatting. So I can do a formatting. Click on this format. I can use a number formatting, font, border, fill. So let me do a simple fill. But you could do anything. I mean, you could actually have a lot of other things which are there. I just say okay. I put D2. So I just I do 2 because that's the leftmost, topmost value, single cell value for which we are applying formula. And then this will apply obviously to A2, and for A3 it will go to D3, and so on. So that is how I will do it. I say okay, and let me see whether it worked. Yes. So Bennett is selling something which is more than 4 lakh. Hamilton is doing it for more than this thing. Jenkins is also doing it, and yes, Randolph, Romero. Yeah. So I can see that this is kind of working fine. This is possible only with the use of formula. Yeah, this is only with the use of formula. So I want to do this. I'll not show you the formula. I want you to try it out yourself. If you get a difficulty, please ask me. I'll show you the formula again. But please try to do it. Basically, you need to put a formula. So highlight all those agents who are selling properties which are more than 4 lakh rupees in value. So do that. I mean, and let me know once you are done. Or if you have difficulty, if you are not clear, please ask me. Yeah, this is the thing. Highlight names of agents for selling properties having list price more than 4 lakh. Yeah, so Bengal sir, I said is done. Well, okay, just analysis done. So those who are done can try the next assignment. Highlight all rows in which list price is more than 4 lakh. So first try the two things which I mentioned. First try the first one. Once you're done the first one, go to the second, which is a little more tricky. Okay. So we'll take a break after we finish all three. So you can actually tell me the progress by saying first done, second done, third done. So far, I think Josna ma'am and uh, Mrinal sir has done first one. Okay,
Well,
Josna
first
ma'am
and
has done.
second both are first and second both done. So third is something which we're trying.
Okay, so Mrinal sir, you can also one and two done. Very good. Perfect.
Yeah.
You can try the third one. Okay, so Venus has done one and two. So as I was trying, let me request Mrinal sir to share his screen and show how he has done one and two for everyone, and then let everybody try three. So Mrinal sir would like to share your screen and explain how we have done one and two.
Is it visible? My screen?
Uh, yes.
Okay. So first of all, it was so this was the list price wherein you said let us have it for more than 4 lakhs. So we went to this new rule. This is how it was done. Is equal to T2 more than 4 lakhs. And then check out the formatting. I said red, okay, and okay. So all the 4 lakhs got highlighted here, right?
Yeah, but we wanted the agents to be highlighted, not the.
Yeah, okay, okay, okay. So I'll undo this. Now we have to select the agent. So again, we said so that the agent will get highlighted here.
Yes, correct.
Now I'm stuck with the third one. So I'm trying, but I've not got into it.
Okay. The second is highlight all rows in which list price is more. So we have to highlight the entire row.
So that is equally okay, and that's very pretty simple. So when you have multiple selection, that is something which I'm not able to do it. So you said when the square feet is more than 1,000, what was that? In fact,
No,
what
no,
was
that
that?
is number three.
Hmm.
That is number three. Number two is highlight all rows in which list price is more than 4 lakh.
So we just did it. In fact, we just did it. Anyways, I'll do it again. It's very simple. In fact,
All rows, in a sense, uh, all those records,
all columns more than 4 lakhs, right?
not all columns, all rows.
All rows.
I mean,
Oh.
horizontally, we should see the horizontally highlighted, not a single cell, but the entire row.
Acha, okay. I hope I'm doing right.
Yeah, that's perfect.
No, it has not happened.
Okay. I mean, others can also help. I mean, others can also unmute and give hints or help. So it's not only Bengal, but everyone else also please participate to see how we should do it. No, it's not working. So anyone else getting a clue what should be done so as to highlight all the rows? I mean, sir, sir, can you just continue with sharing screen? We'll do it on your screen only. So please
Yeah,
don't stop. Yeah.
acha,
We'll
okay.
just go to your Excel and let us ask others also.
Hmm.
What is that is missing? But we'll go it step by step. I think one mistake that was thing is that in the formula you have to start with equal to sign.
Okay, okay, okay.
So that's the
But I
first.
started with equal to only, na? Nahin kya?
Not really. You miss that equal
Okay.
to.
You're saying this
Yeah, equal to. Yeah.
to more than 4 lakh, right?
Yeah, or 4 lakh. Yeah, that's correct.
I'll make a format on the color
Yeah,
selection.
still not correct, but I mean at least one step will started. Yeah, you can say
So I'll
okay.
say color, I'll say
Yeah.
okay, and okay, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay. So we've got something better than earlier one, but we still not got the right answer.
So it
So
is not the 4 lakh, in fact, whatever we made a selection, actually.
yes. So anyone else can also kind of participate,
So I
comment
believe this agent has become, we have got the agent's name, which is more than
correctly.
4
Agent
lakh.
name highlighted correctly. Uh, so there's something which is correct. I mean, this agent name is we got highlighted correctly, but there's some problem with other things. So anyone else also can kind of start thinking why it is so. What's the problem? Vaibhav sir, Nidhi ma'am, Rishma ma'am, Prema ma'am, Josna ma'am. What do you think? What would have what is going wrong? There's something correct. I mean, it's not absolutely wrong now because we have got agent correctly, but we have not got other columns correctly done. Are we getting any hint out of it?
Sir, can we select only list price column?
If you select list price column, then only that column will get highlighted or not highlighted, whatever it is. We want to actually highlight all rows, which means we have to select the entire data, which is currently done. Now
What
within
kind?
that data, we want to highlight rows where the list price is more than 4 lakh.
Okay, sir.
So the hint is that there's something wrong with the formula that we are putting. So that's the first hint. So selection is correct. We have put a formula with equal to sign, that is correct. Now the formula which we said D2 is greater than 4 lakh. There is something that we need to change so that we can get this correctly done. So any idea what we should put there? Okay, I'll give one more hint. It has to do something with the references, absolute reference, relative reference. By the way, Brother, sir, what you should do, you should clear all the rules so that whenever you're putting a new rule, it is kind of there. So you can go to conditional formatting and clear rules.
I've cleared it.
You have cleared it. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So what is happening? You know what? There is a D2, which is what we have selected,
Yeah.
greater than 4 lakh. So when we are starting with A2, we see that D2 is greater than 4 lakh. No, it doesn't highlight. Then we go to A3, it checks the D3 value, and it's so on. And I think when it reaches somewhere, I guess down, somewhere where it says more than 4 lakh, it highlights that particular cell. So that is working fine. A column is working fine. Then it comes to B2. Okay. Now when it comes to B2, what is the formula that is checking? When it comes to B2, when we are doing this, we expect that it should be D2, but please note that D2 is a relative reference, right? So it is becoming D3, D4 as we go down in the same column. When we change a column, when we go to B column and we see D2, it actually becomes E2, whether it is more like 4 lakh. So when we are highlighting B column, it is actually checking the values in E column. And since none of the values in E column are more than 4 lakh, we say the whole B column is not highlighted. Same thing with C column and so on. So the correction that is required is that it should not be D2, it should be $D2. 2 should not be, we should not put a affix dollar in front of it. We should only do it for D column because we want to only check D column. So if you go to new rule and use a formula for, yeah, and here you should do dollar D2. Yeah,
Yes. Yes.
and now you get what you're looking for.
Yeah. Yeah.
Is this clear to everyone? Rashma ma'am, is this clear?
How come it was showing correct results for the agent? I mean, for the agent as well, the results was very correct.
Yeah, because that time it was evaluating the D2, D3, D4, D5. When it
Acha.
started working on B column, it started move to D2 become E2. It started comparing E2 to 4 lakh. Is it more than 4 lakh? E2,
Okay.
E3, E4. So because it's a relative reference.
Got it. Got it. So are you saying that A2's D was a correct selection? From D onwards, that was the incorrect selection. That's what you're saying?
Yes, yes, that's correct.
Okay. Okay. Okay.
So we need to freeze D2. So every time we only want to column, use the column.
Ha.
Values are
Great.
comparing is only in D column.
Right.
So
Right.
that's why we have to make it dollar $D.
Great. 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 Got it now. Got it now.
Now just go to that J column. Maybe you can go to J2 and you see a formula there. Can you interpret what is the formula is?
Yeah, it is. I mean, less than 3 lakh.
Yeah, you can do F2 on your machine so that it gets highlighted.
Yeah.
So just press F2. Yeah. So what is this formula? What is this formula indicating?
It's saying more than less than 3 lakh and more than 1,000 square feet
Yes.
and H2 is true. True is for, I mean, available for sale, right?
Yeah.
Huh.
So basically, we're saying that if it is true, then it is sold. We want to see the properties which are not sold.
Hmm.
So we say it should be false. So we say
False.
not true. Not true. That is what will become true. So basically, there are three conditions. Actually, when I typed in Notepad, I typed it wrongly. Wherever the list price is less than 3 lakhs, and then the square feet is more than 1,000 square feet, and when it is ready to sell, is false. This fold is false. Only when that condition met, we want to highlight all the rules. Now, please note here it is dollar D2, dollar G2, and
Hmm.
dollar H2. We have to be very careful with those rows, the position, relative, um, and absolute referencing. So that is something which this is mixed referencing. This is what we are using it. Now, the reason I have put this here in this column, essentially all the formula, is that when you type in any formula in any Excel cell, you get a support, right? I mean, you get that prompt is equal to and you'll get that and formula. So you get some help while typing the formula. When you're typing the formula within that conditional formatting rule, you don't get any help. So if a very complex formula like this, that there are some conditional and or and something like that, then it becomes very tricky to type the formula correctly in the that formula rule inside conditional formatting. So generally recommend, it's not like a rule, but I'm thinking it's a recommendation that you type the formula in the Excel cell, check it out, test it out whether it is correctly giving it. So for example, here we can see that column number, row number 7, it's true because that is what it is. Correctly, we are getting the correct value there. So you can just try out the formula in the Excel sheet, and then you can simply copy this formula and paste it in that formula thing. So you can just copy this now and take it to the uh, now when you copy paste, you have to be a little careful. Just see what happens when you do copy paste simply.
So what are you saying? Are you saying to copy it and paste it across the columns?
No, it pastes it in the conditional formatting. So we are select the same thing. You may want to clear the rule first. So please first clear the rule because we have
Yeah.
got some rule over there.
Yeah.
You can.
I've cleared.
How are you clearing the rules?
Control Z.
How are you clearing the rules?
Control Z.
No, did you clear the rules? This formatting rules?
Yeah. Cleared. No. I
Okay.
have
How did you
cleared.
do
No.
that? How do you do that? I mean, can you just explain?
Control Z.
Okay, undo. Okay, you have done the undo.
Yeah, yeah, I've done the undo. Yes.
Perfect. Okay. So now you take this formula, which is there in J2.
Mm-hmm.
So you just go to the formula bar and select it and select the formula for copying, and then
New
go
rule.
to, yeah, yeah. But you have to select the entire range first before you put the new rule. So you need to select the entire range first.
Okay. Okay. Right.
Yeah.
You have to copy this formula which was there on J.
Yes. Yes.
No, it's not getting copied.
Okay. So what you need to do, you need to go to that formula bar, place your cursor on J2, select J2 first. Yeah. Select J2 first. Yeah.
Okay.
And in the formula bar, you can see the text, right? There you go and select and control C.
Okay.
There you do control C.
Okay.
And now you escape. Yeah. And now you have copied this, right? Now you select and apply formula. So you have to select the cells first.
Right. Sorry. Yeah.
Yeah. Let's check whether it's correctly done. Yeah. You can format it. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Hmm.
And by the way, we just apply that formula in the J column, so you can check whether the true is there. That thing is kind of. So it's just to verify. Once you get expert in doing it, then you don't need this thing. When you have become expert in formulas. But till the point you're learning formulas, good idea to do it outside in the Excel, and then just copy paste in that thing in the rule inside. Is this clear? Any question?
No, clear.
Okay. So what we'll do, we'll take a 10 minutes break. We'll come back at 11. Those who have thought completed so far can just catch up quickly in this break. And if you have any queries, ask those in the chat box. At 11, we'll look at the chat box. If there are queries, we'll look at it. Otherwise, we'll start with the basic charts. Okay? It's a 10 minutes break now. So let us come back at 11 o'clock.
Right.
Okay, 11 o'clock. So let us resume now. Any questions so far on whatever we discussed on conditional formatting? Is this all clear or any questions so far?
No questions as of now.
Great, great. Okay, so now we'll start with basic charts. So by the way, on WhatsApp, I have sent you another file called pivot table, which we'll see after we finish the basic charts. So let me now open the basic charts file. Um, and let me share my screen. Yes, do you see my screen?
Yeah.
Okay, so what we're going to do in next 1 hour, we are going to look at few charts which are very important, very key. Uh, and these are like 5 worksheets, 4 worksheets that we look at. These are chart. The last one is a spark line. I'll show you what is that. It's not a chart actually, but a very good data visualization tool that we will be looking at. Now, before we begin, if you click on this insert tab, uh, you will see that there are charts section in there. So there's a recommended charts and there are various types of charts. Depending on which version of Excel you are using, you will see this little differently. So things like this column chart or your line chart will be there. I think we will have it. This particular hierarchy chart, like tree map and sunburst, which available in 2016 only and onwards. Uh, then I guess this one waterfall also came in 2016, so it was not available in 2013 per se. Uh, and 2019 has got some more charts, and 2021, which is the latest version, it has got even more charts. So the number of charts or chart types are kind of increased in each version. So each version will get few more kind of type of chart. And then obviously very interesting charts. But let me tell you very frankly that when you're using charts, 90% or a little more than 90%, we will say, we'll use only 3 charts, which is bar chart, pie chart, and line chart. Okay. There are only 3 types of charts which are typically used: bar chart, pie chart, and line chart. Now in Excel, you have got 2 types of chart. One is called bar chart, and the other is called column chart. So this is a column chart, and then there are bar chart. But if you look at the theory of data visualization per se, the chart is basically comes under this subject called data visualization. It's basically only one type called bar. It's either a vertical or horizontal. So in this case, is vertical means we call it a column and horizontal called bar chart in Excel. So most of the time I will use the word bar, which essentially means both column and bar. But yes, we're talking about Excel, we should be talking about column, which is basically vertical bar. So that's why we say 4 charts: bar chart, column chart, pie chart, and line chart. These are used 90% or more than 90% of time. And then there are many more like radar and surface and all that. They look very sophisticated. Uh, I would suggest not to use them if you're using uh, the charts to show something to a wider audience. For example, if you're making a presentation to management or to customers, and it's a wide audience basically. Then line chart, pie chart, and bar chart and column chart are the ones which everybody understands. Okay. The moment you start using a radar chart, they are becoming more specialized charts, and it has very specific applications where they are really useful. But they are not very easy to understand to begin with. Once you understand how they are interpreted, then it is fine. So when you have very specialized requirements, they use those additional charts. But otherwise, the basic charts are good enough for most of situations. I think one should use line chart, pie chart, and column chart most of the time. Unless it's very specific requirement where you want to do. Again, where to use pie chart, where to use column chart, and where bar chart and line chart. I'll also tell you the kind of norms. They're not rules per se, but some kind of a norms that we use. Okay. So pie chart is useful when you want to show a distribution. So for example, if you have uh, different expense criteria, if you say that you have budget and you say 30% of budget is for salaries and 20% is for administrative activities and maybe 40% is for marketing and 10% for miscellaneous activities. It's basically a kind of a distribution we're showing how the expenses are distributed, and that is where the pie chart is useful. Okay. uh, Line chart is useful when you want to show something against time. Suppose you want to show stock prices against time. If you want to show project progress against time, then that is where the line chart is useful. And in that case, time has to be an x-axis. So we'll see all of that anyway in action. But that's kind of a theory. And for remaining, you use either a column chart or bar chart. Typically, column chart, vertical bar, which is easy to understand, but that is what you would use it. Okay. So that's a normal rule which we use, kind of a rule of thumb or norms, unwritten rules, which are typically used when you decide what chart type to use. Now, when you're using the charts in Excel, always select data, click on say bar chart and pick up this, and you get this thing done. Okay. Now it's always possible that you first select a graph, then edit data and all that. And you could see many people actually teach you all that. I don't teach all of that because I believe that we should learn the easiest way out rather than learning 10 different ways of doing things. Easiest way out is select data, go to insert, select the chart type, and that's all. You get the chart. Okay. So you don't need to know a lot about how to work with this chart. Okay. Simplistically, you get a ready-made kind of a chart out here. Okay. So this is how you get a chart. Now, once you get it here, you may want to do something more. One thing that you may want to do is to work on the title. Okay. Let's say July revenue. So here you want to say something which is what the chart is showing. So maybe you want to say that groceries revenue in July is the lowest or it needs attention, something like that, which is what we're getting from this. So I can simply say grocery revenue in July uh, needs to be discussed or something like that because it's low, it needs to be discussed. And when you're doing that, you may want to highlight groceries. Okay. Or you, and again, as I mentioned, if something is bad or something requires attention, then you want to make it red. Now, please note carefully how I'm doing this. I want to make this bar red. Okay. The way to do it is that I click on this. Okay. When I click on this bar, every bar gets selected. You see all four bars got selected. I click again. Sorry, I missed it. I'll do it again. And this happens, by the way. I click. This is a very small bar. I click it again. I missed it. I click on this bar once. All bar get selected. Then I click on this bar again. Only this bar got selected. Now I do right click. I get a fill here. I make it red. Okay, and now it is red. So it's kind of gets highlighted. Grocery revenue July in July. Sorry, this is in July needs to be discussed. Okay, and this is how it happens. Okay, now this clicking thing is to be done very carefully because as you're saying, if you make a mistake, it kind of doesn't work properly. So I want you to do this. Next 2-3 minutes, you take this to do this. Uh, get this highlighted and have some patience to do it because when you click it, will not get selected properly. You have to click twice on the same bar to select only that bar. So that is what is important. So please take next couple of minutes to do it, and then we'll move to the next chart. column check. If you want me to repeat, please let me know. Yeah, so the website is done. So we'll wait for 1 more minute for everybody to catch up, and then we'll move to the next one. Yeah, but also it is done. Yeah, the investor also is done. Okay, so now we'll move to the next one, which is the column chart. Okay, so again the same thing, but here the data is something like this. We have got January sales, February sales, March sales, and then we have percentage change from Jan to Feb and percentage change from February to March. So we want to actually show only these two columns and this column. Okay, that is what we want to show. So the way we do it, we select this column or rather this data, and then I'll press Control when selecting these two columns. Okay, I need to press Control. And I'm not saying the entire column. I'm select the data, which when you have very large data, actually you know can't really use column chart. We need to use pivot chart, which we'll see later next time. But this is the way for the small data. So you can select this. Again, simplistically, go to here, put a 2D column, and that's all. You got it. Okay, so it becomes pretty easy. So now again, when you get it, you should put a chart title which is proper. So here we want to say that uh, West Zone has trouble. So we'll say that West Zone sells trend in West Zone is worrying. Something, I mean, whatever is your thought or whatever you want to emphasize on, that is something that you want to show because it is kind of going from worse to worse kind of situation. Now, when we see this here, we also realize that these labels, north, east, south, west, central, are kind of coming in the way of, particularly for the west, there's a problem, right? These labels are not, I mean, these are generally, this is how you see the labels, but in this case, we don't want this to be here. So, you want to change the position. What I'll do is that I'll click on this label specifically, right click, and here see a format. Now, I expect format label, it is coming format plot area because my selection has changed. Okay. So again, I go out. This is the clicking in chart is a little challenge because there are so many things in the chart. I have to again go click on this label, right click. Now it gets correctly. It's format access. So now I get it format access. And here I want to find for label. So go down. There is a labels over here. I click on that, and then I say label position is next to axis, which is what it typically is. But in this case, I want low. I can say no also, but that's not correct because I want to show this label. So I said low, and they come here, and I think this is makes more sense. You know, they don't kind of overlap with it. So pretty fine. It's kind of working fine. So you could see this, and you know, this is how you could do it. So again, take a couple of minutes to do it in your Excel. It's just that you select the right cells, select the in chart type, and then just make the change with this particular axis formatting. Okay, so I guess we are done. Any questions so far? Okay, so we got done message also. Okay, so now let us move on to the next one, which is a pie chart. Okay, so here I have got some expense categories: rent, supplies, utilities, region 1 salary, region 2 salary, region 3 salary, region 4 salary. Okay, and this amount. Again, very simplistically, I just select this, go to insert, go to pie, and I get a pie. I think there's something more here. Uh, Obviously, you want to say some message. What is this about? And here you can see the rent seems to be the biggest expense category, right? So I just go ahead and put that expenses is the no sorry rent. Rent, right, so rent is the major expense category. Okay, and I'm kind of done with this. Okay, so this is kind of one way to say it. Now, if you look at this data also very carefully, you'll see that there is a salary which is region 1, region 2, region 3, region 4. Okay. And I may want to see that, you know, if I really put this together, so rent is 1 crore 29 lakh, right, and something more, 1.3 crores. Salary, obviously, region 1. If I can just see, select this four uh, sales, I would say that the sum is around 1 crore 66 lakhs, which is more than rent. If you really see it, I mean, if you look at this data carefully, the salary as a total, as a sum, is more than rent. And within that also, rich and one salary is biggest, I mean, as compared to other. Now, if you want to visualize that, then that is not so much visualized here because here rent seems to be a bigger expense category. And then you have region 2, region 1 uh, is here, region 1, region 2, region 3, region 4, region 1, region 2, region 3, region 4. That is how it is coming. So this is not very prominently seen here. So when you're visualizing data, you want to visualize the way which you want to show. So here we are showing rent is a major expense category. But there's another way also to put it. So I'll just let me delete this. Go here. Pick up the same data. Go to insert. Go to pi of pi. It's called pi of pi. And you want to now show it. Now what we are seeing here by default is that the last three, region 2, region 3, region 4, have kind of come here. Okay. But we want come to last four. We want to show it here, right? So let me just go here. Click on this. Right click and say format data series. Now here it says split series. So we have got the data series. It's split series by position. Okay. It could be for many other things, value, percentage value, custom, and so on. But position and it's a value in second plot of last three. We'll make it four because we want the salary thing. Right? And then I put it here. And now you look at this one, you'll realize that rent is here, supplies, utilities, and then you see a salary as a big thing, which is not shown here because it is split. And it is shown as region 1, region 2, region 4 salary. Okay. Now this split we have done it because we have seen the data, we understand the data. The Excel can't do it on its own because it doesn't understand what is rent, supplies, utilities, salary mean. But you can understand. Now you may want to say here that salary uh, salary is a major component, the major expense, sorry, major expense, and region 1 draws the maximum salary. So what we have done is we have rearranged, we have selected kind of another type just to show what is salary is the biggest expense item. Now, which chart to choose? Whether what we've seen earlier is it better or this was better? It depends on what you want to really show. Right? If you want to show rent is a category which is major category, then you can use a simple pie chart. But if you show something like a salary as one component which is subdivided into four, region 1, region 2, region 3, region 4, then this may be a better option. So in charts, I always insist that putting a chart is not very difficult. It's very easy. You've seen it, right? Just select the data, select the chart type, we are done. Okay. But you need to really think through that what is that you want to really show and accordingly choose the correct chart type. Okay. That is how you should be able to do it. So again, spend next couple of minutes to do this chart. If you have not understood or if you want me to repeat, please tell me so that I can repeat. But I wanted to do it once, the pi of pi chart.
Can you repeat this region salary? How did you consolidate it?
Yes. So the way I have done it is that I selected on this pi, right click, it says format data series. And here we have this split series by. So it could be position or value or percentage value and so on. We are picking a position. By default, values in second plot will be 3. That's by default. Okay. In our case, we need 4. So we just made it 4. And that's all. And this is how we got it.
Okay. Okay.
So in other cases, I mean, more typical cases are like, let me just see here, show you, is that you may want to do it not by position but by value. Or sometimes like a mm, as values is one option, like percentage value, and values less than 10%. You bring it to the second one. So others. So many times you have all categories and you want to say others. So here you could do that. So that's another way to do it. So 5% is nothing much here. So 10% makes more sense. So you could do this also. But obviously here what you're getting are the small items. So if you have like 20 categories and you want to show the prominent ones, then what you can do is show the prominent ones and then split series by value and the percentage value. And all that we have values less than 10% will come in the second thing. So that also is another option you could do. And then you can also have some uh, more advanced thing like customization and all that. But generally, position and percentage value are the two ones which are prominently used. Please note that is position from the bottom. Huh? So if your original salary was the top, then you need to rearrange data to bring the
Okay, that's what I was wondering. In fact, how it has taken position last four.
yeah. So it
So
takes
since because we have not put in any other differentiation here, so
yeah
now
yeah
it's clear that you are saying position is from the bottom, from the
yes
yeah, yeah. Okay,
position is from the bottom. That's very important.
okay, okay.
Yeah. So please do it once.
And in case if you want to select something from the top, so is that something some more option for it?
So what is a value or a position? So if you want to pick up a
So if I
specific
if I've selected if I've select if we have to select, I mean, if I make it regions one, two, three, four from the from the top, and then I'll put rent, supplies, utilities. So how is that gonna be working out in this scenario?
it a rearrange data. If you want to put this down, so for
Actually, you have to
example,
realign it, yeah, data.
yeah,
Okay,
we have to
okay,
realign. Yeah.
okay, okay.
So um, and and here obviously I'm going to quickly change this. Okay, let's delete this. So many times instead of changing the chart, you can simply delete it offline. Create a new
Mhm.
chart quickly. And actually, by default, last three, it is four now for us. So format data says it is three. Yeah. So you see the rent here, rent supplies utilities have come here,
Ah,
and
so
this
that's right.
part is salaries, and this is the remaining last three items, last three
Okay, so
positions.
it will always take the last,
Yes,
no, last only, last three, four, whatever number
last
we.
three, last two, whatever that we specify, but it
Okay,
has
okay,
they always last. That we
okay.
can't change. That we can't
Acha,
change.
okay, okay, okay.
Yes. Any other questions from anyone else? Okay. Then let us move to the line chart. As I mentioned, we typically use the line chart to show data against time, and the time being on the x-axis. So here the time is a month. Uh, you could use a line chart also for this bar chart. There are only three time periods per se, but it pretty works pretty well when you have a range of data per se. So that is where you could use this one. So let me just quickly select this. Okay, while selecting, I should not select the total, so I should select only this. So I should be careful what I'm selecting. Then I go to insert. I want a line chart, so I go to line chart and pick up this. Now, the way Excel has picked it up is that it has put clothing, electronics, furniture on the x axis, which is not what we want. So we want to switch row column. I'll just quickly switch row column, and this is what I get. Okay. Now, why line chart is so good? Because it kind of shows the trend basically that it is showing from July to August, September. this particular groceries you had seen earlier, the data, it's the same data by the way. So it was very low, but it's kind of gone well over here. And the one which is clothing, which was actually higher, has gone down. Whereas the other two, it is kind of stable. I mean, it's a little fluctuation, which is okay. It's kind of a stable. So line charts are very nice for the trends, and hence specifically we'll use a line chart when you want to show data against time, and the time has to be put on the x-axis. Then they're interpreted very quickly. I mean, we all see this share market prices or mutual fund performance. They're always shown as a line chart with time on the x-axis, and that is that consistency. It helps because then everybody who's looking at it can interpret it correctly. So you need to be consistent with what the norms are typically. So that's the reason we use a line chart whenever we need to show data against time, and time is always on x-axis. So now obviously you can put something here, and I wanted to do this in your Excel, so please do it, and you can choose your own title. Let me do some title here. Let's say okay. So I guess this is something that I could put, but I can put it differently, whatever you want to put. Yeah. So again, take a couple of minutes to finish up. Yeah, please do it in your Excel sheet. And if you have any difficulty, please ask.
Sir,
Yeah.
in my case, the numbers are seen in a percentage. That is a big, it is in the numbers, 1,800, 600, like that. I got in a percentage.
Uh, okay. You want to share your screen? Let me just stop sharing and please share your screen. See what's the problem.
So my screen is visible.
Yes. Yes. Okay. So here you got access and uh, okay. Just click on that axis,
Which one, sir?
the vertical one, that percentage that you see there. Right click and just say format axis. Just go to the number. Yeah, you need to scroll down a little bit. Here is percentage. You may want to change it to number. To the drop down called percentage uh, category. You can see, yeah, there you can change it to. Oh, okay. Don't make it general. Make it general. Um, okay, close that, and now again close that. Go to the plus sign that you see at the top right of the chart. There is a plus sign there, right, on the top right of the chart. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Click on that and yeah, unselect the axis.
Which one, sir?
The axis, the first one. Yeah, just unselect and now select again.
Again also. Again I have to select that.
Yeah, yeah. It's and again it is showing 1.0. Okay, just delete this chart and let us create it again. Let us see what happens. Delete the chart. Just select the entire chart, press delete, and
1 second, sir.
yeah. Okay. Now you select the data and insert chart again.
Now it's coming in a number, sir.
Yeah, just go to the first one, the left one. Yeah, I think the first one is what you can select. Left one, left first.
This is correct, sir.
No, just again select the first one. The first one. Uh, Not this one. Yeah, this one. Yes. Yeah, and now switch row and column. Yeah, now it
Now,
is
now.
correct.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much.
Okay. So, is there any other difficulty? Anyone else has a challenge? Okay, so let me share my screen now. Now we'll get to the last worksheet. Can you see my screen?
Yeah, yeah, visible.
Yeah. So we'll go to the last worksheet. Now we have the same data which we have looked at, and we'll use this feature of sparkline. So we'll see what is the sparkline. I'll show you how to get it first, and then I'll show you how useful it is. So I'm just selected G2 as a cell. I go to insert, and there you get somewhere a sparkline, and there are three options: line, column, and win loss. Let me select line, and it says give me a data range. I'll just select this data range. So I'm putting a kind of a data in a row. This could be also done for a column, but let us do it for here. I just and choose where I want to put this spark line. I said G2, which is $G $2, or absolute value, absolute reference, sorry, and I get this here. Okay. So what it is showing is that the north, it's basically a line chart essentially. It's a line chart, but it is not the one we see. It's actually in a cell. Okay, and if I just go normal zoom, this is highly zoom, so I go to 100% zoom. It kind of shows it like this. You may make it big, you may make it big. Depending on the sail color, sail size, it will change the size. Otherwise, you end up show it like this. So it has an interesting benefit is that in a cell you can put a chart. Okay. In a cell, and I can just drag it down and I can apply it for everyone. So this depending on obviously the values over here, you could see this chart is kind of changing. Okay. Now you can do more with it. So when I click on this, I get a Sparkline Tools Design as a tab, and there are three columns types rather we said Sparkline test line. It could be a column or it could be win loss. Win loss will just show you, uh, and this could be a kind of a red. So let me just show negative points as red. It will just show win or loss. But when you go to column, it will try to show the indicative value. Okay. Now please note this is possible only when this will look as big as small depending on the cell size. So if your cell size is smaller, then it will show like this. Depending on how your cell size is, it will accordingly show it. So this is not really to see the trend or see, I mean, this is uh, not like a chart where you can actually show it, in a PowerPoint presentation kind of thing. You can copy paste the chart and all that. Here it is only for a simple indication of how the spark line, what is the trend basically. And that is where this line or column could be used. And then there are many other things like high point you can highlight. For example, here we highlighted negative points. So you can see the negative points are getting highlighted. You want to select high point, select low point, first point, last point. All that could be done. This could be formatted the way you want. Typically, I would do negative points. You could also have different styles per se. So these are different styles which are kind of possible. You could also have different sparkline color. So maybe I want to do red. I could do that. You could also have marker color, which is could be something like this. So negative, obviously, you still have a red color for that, and so on. And you can some additional thing. So it's a very neat visualization. It's not a chart as in a chart types, but it's a small line or column chart which can be put in the particular cell. That is what the advantage of a smart line. Yeah. So I want you to kind of explore this more for a couple of minutes before we stop this topic and move to pivot chart table. We only 15 minutes to go, but we'll at least start the topic of pivot table and then discuss it more in next session. But I want you to spend a couple of minutes on Sparkline, explore this formatting that could be done. And once you are done, please mention done in the chat box and we'll use the last 10-12 minutes on the pivot table per se. So please explore this. So take just next few minutes, maybe 3 minutes on this. Try it out different things in Sparkline. Okay, so just one answer is done. Okay, so now it's done. Okay, so good one. This is a very small thing, but very interesting and very good for the visualization perspective. Okay, there are 15 minutes left. Before I move to pivot chart, let me quickly check. Is there any queries in the homework that we discussed that was given last time? Anybody had any queries about what we discussed last time? If there are no queries, I will open the next topic of formatting of pivot chart. I just sent that file on WhatsApp sometime like during the break. If you want to just open that file and just look at the file, I'll just open it here and share it. Okay, do you see my screen?
Yeah, visible.
Yes. So here, now this time we are now getting into data, which is really big. So obviously, if you look at the columns, we have column uh, 15 column essentially. It basically show date, year, customer ID, customer age, gender, country, state, product category, subcategory, product, order quantity, unit cost, unit price, and so on. Around 15 column essentially. Okay. And if you look at the row, I can just press control shift down. I say it has around 1,13,036 rows. Okay. So this is the kind of a data that we're going to work with for pivot table. I'm using specifically this large data because now you will see, I mean, pivot tables are useful when you have a large data. If you have 10, 20, 30 rows, pivot table is not a great thing. You can look at the data yourself and find out the answers. But pivot table is comes very useful, or rather it is useful when your data is really big. Okay, 10,000, 20,000 rows, or even more than 1,000 rows, something that will be useful. This is again an extreme. It says 100, 1 lakh, more than a lakh record. Okay. Now, if your machine does not have a good configuration, I mean, does not have a high configuration, rather, and you're working on it, sometimes it may slow down because it's actually a large data. So Excel may hang in between. We're working with this data, but don't worry, it will just take some more time to process because it's a really large data. And if you're doing something very processing on it, then obviously we'll see some challenge. But don't get worried. The reason we are picking up this large data because we want to also understand how to deal with large data. So we're kind of coming near to the end of the scores. We are kind of matching ourselves with the how to handle the large data. Okay. So this now to create a pivot table is very straightforward. Okay. Select click anywhere inside your pivot table of in the table data that you have got. Insert pivot table. So it will pick up the cell range, which is basically A1 to O 1,13,037. So it picked up the entire range. Okay. This is possible only if your data is continuous. Okay. There is no gaps. There are no column gaps. There are no row gaps. Data should be there in all. It picks up the entire thing. And I say, okay, it will create a pivot table. Okay. So that is how it is. It's as simple as it is. Nothing great. It creates in a new worksheet because that is what we mentioned. it should be doing. Now, before we get into that, let me delete this worksheet. There's one more thing that I will show you, and actually we'll take pivot table, pivot chart next time. But this is one thing that I want to show, which is called the format as table, which is here. You click on this, you get a format as a table. Okay. So again, I select this, so I can press Control A, you just select all. It will select all. Okay, so it will select entire range first, not the entire cell, entire worksheet. And I say format as table, and I then select a particular format. Okay. Now it says where is the data? It says A1 to I, sorry, O 1,13,037. And the my table as headers is what is selected here, which is correct, which is this is the header. So it's a okay. And now we can see it's formatted pretty nicely. It has highlighted banded columns, alternate columns basically. You can have it on or not have it on. You can also have first column highlighted or not. You can switch off the filter buttons if you want. You can change it later if you want. Either way, I mean, if you have different options. So look and feel increases significantly, and this becomes like a table. Okay, and this is called a table basically. It's called table. So table is something which is uh, a rectangular data in Excel. Okay, otherwise we use the word range to say if you're selecting more than. So there are rows, there are columns, there are range, and this is the table, which is what you get. Now here, if you insert a pivot table, it will say select a table or range, table one. So by default, it is picked up as a table one, and you can create. So you get the same effect, not that it gives some different effect. It gives the same effect. It creates a pivot table, nothing different. So whether you use a simple range or use a table, formal table, it gives the same effect per se. But typically we recommend that when you're using a pivot table, use a table rather than a range. I'll tell you why. Okay, so let me just go here and let me type in cost revenue. Then let me type in profit. Okay, and okay, so let me zoom in a little bit. Okay, and let me type in profit. Press enter, and you can see it is expanded the table. Has expanded the table by one column. Okay, that is what it happened. It expanded the table by one column. Just by it understood that it is one column. So the table has actually got expanded automatically. That is an advantage. Okay. So when you go to pivot table, and if you expand the data here, it will automatically adjust there also because it has picked up the whole table. Okay. So that's the benefit. Another thing that you do it here. Now I want to put a formula: cost minus revenue. That is N2 minus O2. I just go here equal to, I say N2 minus O2, but here I don't see N2 minus O2. I say cost minus revenue, which is wrong actually. I should say O2 minus N2. So I say revenue minus cost. So it is picking up the headers actually, nothing more than that. It's just picking up headers, and then I just say enter. It has also dragged it down itself because it knows that it has to be done it like this, right? So it kind of does automatically for you. So you kind of reduce the number of clicks, but it also does it automatically, and it is properly done it. And you can read like a revenue minus cost. Again, what the format, what the header that you give, it kind of picks up those headers and give this. So this is comes very handy. So if you have a large data to kind of play with, format as a table. It helps in a big way. It gives a good formatting, but more importantly, it will actually add a columns dynamically. Okay, that's same thing with rows also. You can also add a rows dynamically or columns dynamically. So it will expand itself. So when you create a new pivot table, things will automatically get adjusted depending on what the table is. Is this clear?
Yeah, clear.
So I want you to do this. I want you to format it as a table and then insert it as a pivot table. You should see table one here in a new worksheet, and you should be able to see something like this. We'll work on it from this point onwards in the next session. But I want to close the session uh, with you doing the formatting of table and inserting a pivot table over here. We'll do the remaining things in the next session, but I wanted to finish this part of it. So next 4 5 minutes we can do this, and then we'll close the session. Please let me know once you are done. That's putting done in the chat box, and then you can exit the session. If there are no questions, you can exit the session once you're done.
So I'm done. Wanted to
Hmm.
ask, in fact, whether you would be sharing this the way you did it for the first session. I think I missed the second session. I could not join owing to some of the reasons. If you can share the second and this session equally on WhatsApp, that would be a great help for us.
Yeah, so the file I have shared for the second session, I'll share this file for the third session also.
Great, great. Thank you so much.
Sir, this is Vinod. Last 2 3 minutes, my connection got disconnected because of power failure. So can you just repeat to the last 2 3 minutes?
Yes, sure, I'll do that.
Thank you.
So what we have done here, let me try to undo this. Okay, so I started with this. We got this data. What I said, let we should do a format as a table. So I clicked here, picked up any style, and you can change the style whenever you want. You can start with something. Here we have Wells data, we have table, and my table has headers, which is correct. I have a table headers, and it has given me this, which I can change if I need. So you could pick up any style. You could also select, unselect whether you want to show banded rows or not. You want to show filter buttons or not. So it's a formatting thing. So it looks good, and many times you would have seen that this is something which people use to make the data look a little better than what we have. But for us, for pivot table perspective, there are two things that why we actually use format as a table. One is when I go to insert, I insert, it will say table 2, insert the table 2. So this is basically uh, picks up as kind of a table 2. Okay, so that kind of helps. And so if I add something more here, additional column, maybe 2 3 column, uh, pivot table also understand there is some changes happening here. Okay, because we are not selecting the ranges, but we are selecting a table. And the adding a column could be as easy as, for example, I have cost revenue. I can add a profit by putting this profit here. It adds into the column. It adjusts itself properly. Second, I have to calculate profit is equal to revenue minus cost. I just do O2 minus N2. It will select as a revenue because it's taking the header, revenue minus cost. Press enter. And you can not only see that it has picked up the formula correctly here, but also dragged it down itself without we doing anything. Okay. So it kind of recognizes that this is a table with which we are working, and it will accordingly show us, it gives some additional benefits to us. So now, if you have put this as a, created a pivot table with this table, and we add a new column, it will get automatically adjusted in the pivot table. So that's the advantage why we want to use table, and obviously it looks good, and obviously we want to have these additional features for there. So that is what I covered in last 2 3 minutes. Is that helpful?
Yes, thank you very much.
Okay. Okay, so it's at 12 o'clock, but if you are not done yet, please continue. I will be here for next few minutes. Once you are done with this formatting table, then you can exit the session. Yeah, so as and when you're finished, you can uh, exit the session. And obviously, if you have any difficulty, please ask me to clarify this. Okay, Josna, we'll see you next Sunday. Okay, no, sir. We'll see you next Sunday.
Thanks.